Warning, this video contains team selection and captain choices which some viewers may find offensive.
Hey guys, and welcome back to FPL TV. After a lot of fixture postponements recently, followed by a long international break, we've now thankfully got plenty of game weeks coming thick and fast in the build-up to the World Cup. So let's get stuck straight back into FPL and see how my wildcard squad performed in Game Week 8. We'll then look at my team selection and plans for the upcoming Game Week 9. Due to those games getting postponed, my team was hit with 5 players being out, and therefore I felt my hand was a bit forced into utilising the wildcard. Granted, I probably could have seen it through without using the chip, but considering I was pretty set on wildcarding in Game Week 9 anyway, and considering that Game Week 9 wildcard team would have looked very similar to the one I built in Game Week 8, I felt it made more sense to pull the trigger one game week early. The majority of my points came from the Man City triple up last week, all of whom returned away to Wolves, and utilising the wildcard allowed me to bring in De Bruyne for his 10-pointer without the need of a -4 hit, and I was pretty happy with that. The other small decision I got correct on the Game Week 8 wildcard was including and starting James Maddison away to Spurs, who, despite the Foxes getting a bit of a thrashing there, did continue his good individual form for the season and scored a superb goal for 7 points. Due to that goal and his very kind upcoming fixtures, he's now one of the most transferred in players ahead of Game Week 9 and will likely get a price rise too, so I'm happy to have brought him in a game week early. Sadly though, the only other return of the game week was Kieran Trippier's assist, with blanks all round for the rest of my squad. Frustratingly, Mitrovic failed to score despite Fulham bagging 3 goals against Forest, with teammate Andreas Pereira not getting in on the action either. Incredibly, Fulham have scored 3 or more goals on 31 occasions since Mitrovic signed for them 4 years ago, and this was just the second time from those 31 games that Fulham scored 3 or more and he didn't get on the score sheet. Incredibly unfortunate there, but of course football is no exact science. Still happy to own him for the long term now, and hopefully he comes good. As for Nick Pope in goal, well, his 2-pointer against Bournemouth was actually my highest goalkeeper score of the season, which kind of sums up just what a nightmare this position has been for me so far. After 8 long game weeks now, the wait for a goalkeeper clean sheet continues. So for the wildcard in Game Week 8, just the 54 points, which overall was pretty underwhelming. In fairness, I wasn't expecting huge things from this team for Game Week 8 specifically, as with 6 teams blanking, it was always going to be a bit of a tricky game week in general, and it was a wildcard squad that I did try to build with the long term in mind as well. 54 points gave a very minuscule green arrow up 100k places to 2.4 million, and although I wasn't expecting the world, on a wildcard I certainly hoped for a little bit more progress there. Breaking the top 2 million would have been nice before the international break. Despite the disappointment overall though, I am happy with how the team is now set up moving forward, so hopefully from here things do improve and I can begin moving up the rankings soon. I think from where I am at the moment, at a very poor ranking of 2.4 million, getting inside the top 1 million now before the World Cup starts is a decent target to then build on in the second half of the season, so that'll be my realistic aim I think. Let's move on to Game Week 9 now and see how my team currently lines up as well as my transfer plans. Also, if you do enjoy the content here at FPL TV, then please consider getting subscribed, it really does help my channel. You can also hit the notification bell so you always know when a new video goes live. One of the reasons for not putting out the strongest wildcard team last week was the fact I chose to hold both Alexander-Arnold and Reece James on my bench who had fixtures postponed. For Game Week 9, both naturally come back into my starting 11, and I'll be hoping Alexander-Arnold in particular can deliver big here, considering he's been heavily sold and not being kept on many other Game Week 8 wildcards. Granted, he's not been in the best of form so far this season, but his creative stats are still right up there, and he's now become a much bigger differential than we're used to seeing. Over the international break, he was also notably left out of both England games, so who knows? Maybe there'll be a bit of fire in his belly for this one, and perhaps he'll have a point to prove. Around his price of 7.4 million, I did have the chance last week to opt for Wilfried Zaha in midfield instead. But with Zaha facing Chelsea and Reece James this week, I felt more comfortable giving Trent a final chance here at home to Brighton, who are now under new management. Another poor display from Liverpool here though, and I can easily switch the decision next week, so let's see how it goes. In Game Week 10, Trent is away to Arsenal, whilst Zaha faces Leeds at home, so it seems that week could be a good chance to make the switch. With that potential transfer move in my mind for Game Week 10, then the plan this game week is to roll the free transfer, and therefore take 2 free transfers into next week. The squad overall looks solid for Game Week 9, and I'm determined to hold the transfer this week if I can. With Mitrovic facing both Trippier and Nick Pope this week, of course that's not ideal. But hopefully in some form I can get some returns here, with either the Magpies keeping a clean sheet or Mitro scoring against his previous club, the latter being more likely I'd say. Elsewhere, opting for Ivan Toney instead of the likes of Newcastle's Isaac last week was certainly a choice I made with the longer term in mind, and I'm hoping that decision can start to pay off this week, with Toney facing Bournemouth. As for the captaincy in Game Week 9, well there's a few decent candidates in my squad I think, with James Maddison certainly having the fixture of the bunch here at home to Forest. Maddison could provide a nice differential option here, with opponents Forest having the highest expected goals conceded so far this season. I'm just not sure that I trust Leicester enough in general given their form to hand him the armband. As much as I like Maddison as a player, and as much as I'm happy to own him for his nice fixture run, I'm just not sure I consider him explosive enough over one fixture to give him the captaincy. So it's likely I'm going to stick with Erling Haaland again this week, and given his consistency so far this season, there's not many reasons to move it off him really. Man City's derby fixture against United isn't the best on paper, with United improving significantly since their big defeat to Brentford in Game Week 2. They've only conceded 2 goals in 4 games since then, the fewest of all teams, and that includes playing Liverpool and Arsenal in that time. That's my one big concern with the Haaland captaincy this week, and perhaps justification to punt elsewhere. As things stand, I'll be hoping that Man City can simply be too much for them on the day. So that's my team and transfer plans for the upcoming Game Week 9. As mentioned, considering United's impressive defensive form of late, and with still a few days to go until the Game Week deadline, the captaincy on Haaland certainly isn't locked, but it's where it'll most likely end up. As always, if you do want to see the final locked-in team and captaincy, then you can do so over on Twitter shortly before the Game Week deadline hits. Good luck to you all for the upcoming game week, FPL responsibly, and I'll catch you all very soon.